What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more I'm Aita Bird. Ho. And if you'd like to skip that initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. I lost it on that one, I'm sorry. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's jump straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story does come with an update, and it's from PM Me Random Tips, titled Am I the Arsehole for not paying for not giving up to my brother's tantrums? Posted in my side account because I know for a fact sister-in-law reads stuff on this sub. I, female 29, recently bought a house and a brand new car. I will admit I probably splurge on my house more than I should, but growing up very poor, it has always been a dream of mine to live in a nice house. I worked really hard to be where I am, so much so I undergo countless breakups because I always choose career over boys. My brother, male 25, is currently jobless. He works as a tourist guide before and he can barely make ends meet. He has 5 kids now, and counting, as his wife announced pregnancy recently. He messaged me on Facebook that there is something he wants to talk about, and I thought he wants to name me godmother to his incoming baby. I said sure and invited him to the house to get his approval about some things I modified for our parents. I gave him a tour and he admired my house greatly, saying things like how excited he is to bring the kids to my house. I did not mind anything about it as I thought he meant a visit, which I'm more than happy to host them for. Imagine my surprise when he finally sat me down and finally revealed what he wants to talk to me about. He wants me to give him my house. I clarified whether he meant this house or the other house I bought for my parents, which I still lived in, still has modifications ongoing with my dream house. He said the house is big enough for his family and I can go visit them anytime I like. He even offered that if I really wanted to live there, I could move into the maid's room and modify it for my personal use. I was shocked. I cannot speak as he thanked me over and over for the house. I finally asked him where the heck did that idea come from and said our mother told him I will give him my house. I of course corrected that, and this is where things gone south. My brother repeatedly said since our mum said the house is his now, I cannot do anything but give in. I called my mother to tell him to duck off, and lo and behold, my mother sided with my brother. To make this already long story short, my whole family had cut me off and parents disowned me until I give my brother my house. My father has been brought to the hospital over this fight and now I feel really bad. The guy I'm seeing now said to just give the house to my brother and he'll help me to buy another. Reddit, am I the arsehole here? And there isn't a couple of edits on this one, which we'll cover in a second, but I'm already blown away by the entitlement. It's one of these ones that you think, this can't be real, surely. What kind of family would demand that you give up your house to another sibling? That's absolutely insane. But we're going to cover a couple of comments in a minute where OP replies to and that sort of stuff. So edit says, to clarify, the house that they gave away is the newly bought one I thought where I could raise 5 adorable fur babies. Family home is in my name too, as I have to take out a loan back then to buy it. So yeah, it may be obvious I'm not the arsehole at first sight, but I feel like I could be one because my father got hospitalized over the ensuing fight for the house. Edit 2, I'm trying to read all the comments and I'm just overwhelmed for your support. I'm temporarily staying at a friend's house ever since. Your encouraging words really helped ease my mood. I finally decided not to give this house and sell the other one to help pay for a vast majority of loan on my dream house. I also decided to remove my parents' access to my health plans and remove them on my insurance. Last but not least, thank you to the award kind strangers. Reading your comments made me realize how ridiculously unreal this sounds. And as I said, we have a full update. And scrolling like halfway down the comments, I found one from Chupa Chups who's 75 who says, is this real? This can't be real. To which Hoshiki13 replies there saying, she's from the same country as me. This scenario is not even new. I can pick people on my friends list who can write stories so close to this, you'd say they're all copycats. I mean, my grandma pulled something like this to her kids. To which OP replied, the joys of being born on our dear motherland, lol. I hope your family's better. To which Hoshiki replied to that saying, lol, right? Fortunately no issues like that, but I have my fair share. I'm the firstborn focused on being the good daughter and career because family pride. My problem is being subtly compared to everyone else, especially relatives. Cousin A is a doctor, B is a lawyer, and while I have no title because I shifted degrees from accountancy to marketing and advertising, I'm 30 plus and still comes up every now and then. Cousin C bought a house from their parents. I'm like, Mum, you own property. I asked her to get an estimate to remodel, but she refused anyway because she got this, so okay. I still love her, but Jesus, frustrating. Hope your mum realizes their boundaries. They don't own you. But I'm assuming this is a culture thing from those comments, and from that I can absolutely say I know it's difficult because obviously I'm not a part of that culture, whichever it is. I don't even know which country it's from. But absolutely not the arsehole, because the sense of entitlement is just absolutely insane from your family, from your brother. It's just craziness. But Nervous Tomato says not the arsehole, of course, but what the actual hell is going on here? The entitlement of your brother to expect you will give him your house, and the nerve of your parents expecting that you will indeed do this. Actually, if your parents want to provide for your brother, they can invite him to live in the house you bought for them, and they can live in the maid's room. Your family is toxic OP, and if that's how they see you, as a bank, then cutting you off is a good thing for you. Blue Cardinal says, is this a joke? One of the clearest not the arseholes I've ever seen. You already gave your parents one house and they took it upon themselves to give your home away as well. OP replies, lol, thanks. I really feel awful though, as I mentioned. My father has been brought to the hospital over this. I feel really guilty because if I had not fought my brother and mother, he would have been probably fine. He thinks I should give my brother my house, as he thinks I can afford to buy another for a few years. He has a point, so it eats me up. Pika Pika says not the arsehole, and you should sell the other house in your name since they have disowned you and take it to go on an amazing holiday. How horrible. OP replies again saying, lol, this comment made me laugh. This is the same suggestion as my boss, who also happens to be my best friend. She said I should use the money to treat myself on a nice holiday in Europe, as I always wanted. And one more from Strawberry who says, 5 kids at 25. He doesn't need a house, he needs a box of condoms. Now we'll move on to the update to see what that says. Can it get any crazier? Let's find out. So, update. Hello. So a lot of people have reached out to me since my original post. A lot has happened since then. I'll try to include as much details as I can. So I cut my family off back in December and removed them in all services that will benefit them being connected to me. Since I figured, hey mum, you told me I'm dead to you, then you get no free house from me anymore. So the reactions from our extended family were just as I expected. Most of the adults sided with my mother. My cousins expressed their support to me. I got invited with a family reunion I initially sponsored, and isn't that just the worst? My aunts and uncle had barricaded the gate when I arrived at my granny's house. I won't expand on this anymore because this still hurts until now. My mother also sued me for selling the first house back in January. It did not reach the higher courts and I won. Public perception of me got worse though. She and brother took this defeat to twist the sympathy in their favour. They posted on social media about how I am an ungrateful daughter and I owe them for everything I have. They also blame me for my father's death. Yes, he died. I did not even get to attend the funeral because I'm banned. When this happened, I almost gave in and signed the papers to give the house to my brother. I blamed myself and believed them my selfishness killed my father. At this point, my boyfriend convinced me to take a break from work and talk to a professional. I did just that, and I'm only now realizing how ducked up the way they raised me. I can't believe it took internet strangers to realize something is wrong with how they treated me. To be honest, I almost decided not to post an update. It was last month when my therapist suggested I should do it because this is where me breaking off from them started. On the bright side, I say how my fiance's family really liked me because of this ordeal. I thought they were just being nice, but shit happened and they supported me every step of the way, especially when my partner had to go overseas for 1 week's stay because of his job. They really took care of me and even assured me I'm worth more than my family thinks I am. The nicest thing I've ever heard in my life come from his mother. Anyway, last July 21st, my father's birthday, mother reached out to me. She explained to me that she understood she had no right banning me from his funeral, but at the time, all she can think about is how I cut them off my health plans and it rendered them incapable of supporting my father's hospitalization. I did not realize this and we cried for hours. She said she still blames me though and doesn't think she can forgive me. I think I understand her. My therapist told me that thinking of what ifs is counterproductive, but still, if I could go back in time, I'll help them with this. My brother won't talk to me. That's fine. The feeling is very much mutual. Now, I'm a bit worried about that last thing. That last paragraph, it sounds very much like manipulation, and as I said, I don't know what country this is from, but if someone goes into a hospital with a life and death scenario, I thought they're like obligated to help out someone else. Surely they're not just going to say, look, I'm not going to help you, off you go into the street. Surely that wouldn't happen, but I may just be in ignorant here and I don't really know. But the death of your father is not your fault. This is your family, your toxic family, and they're even trying to manipulate you after the fact. You were kind enough to purchase your mum a house or let her live in that house, presumably rent-free and all that kind of stuff, and they took advantage of it and started trying to give out your other houses to your brother. Absolutely not. They're the ones that disowned you, and this is the consequences of their actions. And it sounds like at the moment it's a positive update in some respects, not the father obviously, but that you're with your partner's family and they're treating you with the respect that you deserve. Absolutely not the arsehole from me. But what do you guys make of this update? What do you think of this story? Absolutely crazy one. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Jew Industry 9818. Am I the arsehole for telling my brother my nieces are no longer welcome to parties hosted by me? My brother, who has 2 girls, 14 female and 13 female, they are both 18 months apart in age, but were never close. A couple of years ago, they went from not close to despising each other. Before they would do their own things, didn't seem to seek each other out or like playing together, but they didn't fight. Now they can't be around each other without wishing they were an only child, yelling, cursing and all this other stuff. My son is 13 and told me before that they wished the other was dead as well. And that when he was at my brother's one weekend, he and my sister-in-law were looking after him while we took our daughter out of the state for a hospital thing. And he said they both told them they despised the other. And he saw them fight so many times. Apparently the eldest has been asking to live with my parents for a while now, but her parents say no. While my son was there, she asked and she told him she was asking for more than a year because she doesn't want to share the same house as her sister anymore. At my dad's birthday in June was the last straw for me. They do fight at family parties and events, but what happened was my sister-in-law wanted a photo of the girls with my parents. They were standing either side of my parents, and sister-in-law tried to make them stand together. My brother said sisters should be side by side in family photos, and the 13-year-old went off. She said that's for siblings who love each other, but she never loved her older sister. She didn't want an older sister, and she would never take a picture beside her. That she would rather be put into foster care and never see us again than see the oldest. Which the oldest then said none of this would happen if the parents had listened to her, and that she was tired of being around her younger sister the whole time. My daughter's birthday is coming up and I don't want them ruining it. So I told my brother the girls won't be invited going forward, that unless they magically go back to how they were before, I don't want a scene at everything and for parties and celebrations to be spoiled by their vicious fighting and hatred for one another. He told me I can't do that in their family, they should be given a chance every time. He told me I was being unreasonable and setting a bad example. Am I the arsehole? Now, I'm going to start off with a not the arsehole in this one. I'm very tempted because I want to say like and everyone sucks here, because all I was thinking through this is why aren't the adults helping out in this situation? Why is no one getting therapy for this? Why is everyone just standing on the sidelines and letting these two sisters fight it out and just hoping for the best, which is absolutely not the way they should be going about it. At least therapy should be the bare minimum, it sounds like, because there's clearly something much deeper going on. But for the initial question, I will say, although it's kind of sad that you're excluding family members from your parties and stuff when they're already clearly going through some stuff, I've got to say not the arsehole, because their parents should be dealing with this. But you wanting to protect your daughter and her birthday party, I can't say you're the arsehole for wanting it to, you know, go peacefully. So absolutely not the arsehole from me. Eastern Water says, you're not an arsehole, but everyone else sucks. Why is no one doing anything for these two girls? This isn't normal. They're clearly both deeply unhappy. Not the arsehole. Crasher C says not the arsehole. If your brother has a problem with you not wanting insanity and disruption in your home, then he needs to get his house in order. It's not your responsibility to give your nieces a chance to ruin everything. Side note, that behavior is not normal and your brother and sister-in-law should be doing something about it. Slenderman is my dad says and quotes, my brother said sisters should be side by side in family photos, and then says why? That was guaranteed to start a fight. He has somehow missed their behavior or he is bored when there's no drama. Lesing out says everyone sucks here, someone should be doing something for those girls and excluding them from everything isn't it. As someone who had a seriously abusive sister, I can understand her hatred if there's something deeper going on. And Tom Club Thumb says everyone sucks here. Is no one doing anything to try and understand what is going on and resolve this situation? Now, what do you guys make of this one? What do you think is going on? Absolutely crazy. And I know siblings have like squabbles and stuff all the time, but this sounds but pure hatred towards one another. I find that insane. And I know it probably isn't to many, but I find it insane still. We'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Cunnington. Am I the arsehole for expressing resentment at being asked to help out with a baby? I, 17 female, live with my dad, his wife Sarah, her daughter Jade, 16 female, and Jade's daughter Leah, 2 months. I moved in here when I was 13 after my mum died. Before that I saw my dad every other weekend and for extended summers and stuff. It was a rough transition, and what made it tougher was sharing a room with Jade all the time once I moved in. I was used to my own room and space at home, but this was just so different. I also had to leave my school behind. My dad said at least I'd have Jade, but we never had a sibling relationship. She was just a kid who lived with my dad to me. For the most part Jade was okay, but she was always very intrusive and I hated it. She'd go through my stuff and it did lead to resentment. Her mum stopped it after a couple of years by just finally getting serious and taking her stuff until she stopped snooping through mine. Jade now has a baby, and that's the 3 of us in one room, and it's changed the household. Sarah and my dad expect me to help Jade with the baby at night since we're in the same room. They expect me to stay at the house with the baby when they do stuff, and Sarah expressed to me that I could step in and make bottles or change diapers from time to time. Last Thursday, Sarah took Jade to Jade's ex's boyfriend's house so they could talk to his parents about Leah, leaving me and my dad with Leah. He asked why I wasn't spending time with her and why I wasn't jumping up to feed her when feeding time came. I snapped. I told him it wasn't my fucking job since she wasn't my baby and I suffered enough having to wake up in the middle of the night because of a crying baby. I said it made me miss things being the way they were before Mum died. He said I would have always been in this position no matter what happened, which really pissed me off. I told him I wouldn't have to deal with this shit if I had my mum because I'd be living with her. He was upset I felt that way, and when Sarah got home she was pissed I was so resentful at being asked to help out. That it's all part of being a family, and that I should be glad I have this time with all of them, but especially the baby. Am I the arsehole? This one is a very, very simple one to me, and it's very sad at the same time. A 17-year-old having to deal with this kind of situation, parents who's not seeing her point of view. But simple to me because, you know, Jade got jiggy with someone, she had the baby, which would make it her responsibility. The fact that you're being forced to share a room with baby and mother in the first place is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. Disgusting in the fact that you don't get your own personal space and time. And they think that they can just go out and leave you with a baby to feed and change it and stuff like that. And oh man, it's so wrong. And I can't believe the parents are sitting back and thinking, you know, this is the right thing to do. Absolutely crazy. Paper Wings 451 says not the arsehole, not your kid, and you're a freaking high school student. How do they expect you to get homework done and get decent sleep with a bawling newborn in your room? I'd set up camp on the couch, if it's not too bad on your back, lol. WML says not the arsehole, you didn't procreate. You didn't get to have a choice in this. It's one thing to help out now and again, but the expectation that you as a 16 need to be a supplemental parent is not okay. I Might Be a Spider says not the arsehole. That's an extremely unfair situation to put a 17-year-old in. If I were you, I'd start working, if you don't already, and build your savings so you can move out as soon as you turn 18. Do you have any relatives you could possibly stay with in the interim? Any scientist says not the arsehole, not your kid, not your problem. Is there anyone else you could live with? I'd recommend getting an air mattress. They cost about $10, and having another option for sleep. If she can't take care of her kid, then the baby's father should step up. If that's not going to happen, maybe the baby should be put up for adoption and get a chance at a better life. And we'll have one more from Yuki, who says, not the arsehole. Jade did the sex, she had the baby, it's her baby and her responsibility. You are not free childcare, and forcing you to share a room with an infant is horrid. If they leave you alone with that baby while they all go out, call CPS. It's not your baby, you didn't do the sex, not your responsibility. Let them know that mummy is just tossing her kid off on other people who will not, nor should they be expected to take care of it. She's just abandoning the kid. She's not being a good parent just by tossing the kid off on everyone else. Watch as they're all confused when you cut contact at 18. Find a way out for your own health. Now, what do you guys make of this one? What are your thoughts on all of today's stories if you choose to share them? As always, we love to hear them, but never any pressure either. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending 20 minutes or so out of your day today with the channel and getting involved. It means the absolute world. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Boxes are defeating, purpose always fleeting. I pose questions to the ceiling like an answer gonna come. Truth is too revealing, life is easier concealing. All emotions till they start on your heart going numb. I shouldn't be in drive more, I just wanna feel alive more. I feel hurt all the time, but I can't see straight. I've been